In today's grocery stores and supermarkets, many foods are labeled with such words as organic, GMO free, cage free, grass fed, antibiotic free. While the savvy consumer wants to know what is in their food and, more importantly, what they're putting into their bodies, some of these labels may be misleading or trick consumers into purchasing a more expensive product that is no better in some respects than the conventional product they could buy. The purpose of this documentary is to determine consumer perception of food labels and to determine the ethics of labeling certain foods as special when no true alternative is available. We will first explore the types of labels that might be found on foods and what they really mean.
GMO stands for genetically modified organism. This means that it has had its genome altered in some way by addition, subtraction, or replacing a gene or section of DNA. Gene modification allows beneficial traits to be directly placed into an organism without going through the expensive and time-consuming process of selective breeding. While genetic modification is a relatively new technology, no current respected research suggests that they are dangerous.
Organic is a label that means the food or agricultural products has been produced using cultural, biological, and mechanical practices that support the cycling of on-farm resources. While some may believe that this means crops are grown without chemicals, organic actually means that farmers can still use chemicals. They just have more specific regulations on the use. Wording also determines what percentage of the product is actually organic. For an example, a label of organic ingredients are products that are less than 70% organic.
Other types of common labeling on products include country of origin, antibiotic-free, cage-free, grass-fed, and natural. To be classified as natural, it may contain antibiotics, growth hormones, and other chemicals. The grass-fed label may lead consumers to believe this means that the animals are not confined. However, they can be confined and still use this label as long as they get access to pasture when available. In addition, many consumers believe organic means without the use of pesticides, but organic foods can contain the use of commercially manufactured pesticides.
We went to the Student Center and showed consumers this page with labels and asked if they'd be more likely to buy a product with one or more of these.
And then I'll have you look at these labels here. Would any one of these make you more likely to buy a product than a product that isn't labeled with one of these?
Yeah, I'd say all of those. I mean, if it was on any of the products I would buy,
Okay.
I'd buy those.
It just depends on the price point. Like maybe if I wasn't a college student, I'd be more likely to buy something that was grass-fed or cage-free because those items are typically more expensive. But right now, I'm just like, I need to save money.
What is a GMO?
Genetically modified organism.
Okay. Do you know anything more about them?
Just that they're usually bigger and maybe produce more than something that is a non-GMO.
Is an organism or a plant or an animal that has had scientific intervention in some way, whether that's recombinating DNA of it or it's selective breeding. So this apple tree produces more apples, let's make seeds from this one versus the one only producing half as many apples.
What does organic in terms of food mean?
Organic in terms of food, not
terms
like
of
how
food.
it's created.
Right. Or just like anything, any
So-
part of the process about the food.
So from what I know about organic, it is a system and has to be like a standardized how farmers create stuff. So not many pesticides or chemicals. They have to be approved before they can go into the stores. Non-GMOs.
Okay.
Expensive.
In terms of food, it's just like no like extra pesticides or herbicides added while like it's growing.
We surveyed more consumers than the ones shown here in this video. Here are a few more of the common answers we got. With so many different labels on products at the grocery store, it can be confusing to the typical consumer to understand what the label means and why it's on the product. Here are a few of the most commonly used labels that can easily confuse the typical consumer. For example, consumers walking through a grocery store might be more likely to purchase these products because they see the non-GMO label on them, when in reality, there is no GMO alternative for oranges or for carrots. So is it right for the producer to put that label on the product, misleading consumers to think that they're getting a better alternative to a traditionally produced product? In conclusion, if producers choose to put these types of labels on their product, they should be responsible in educating consumers on what those labels truly mean and why they're choosing to put them on those specific products. Consumers deserve to be aware of what they are spending money on and what they're putting into their bodies. It's not fair for companies to trick consumers into spending more money on products just because of a label they choose to put on that product. Public mistrust in agriculture is common, so it is our responsibility as agriculturalists to educate consumers on how these labels could be misleading and about other alternatives.